You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire youth wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
Together we are
Rope Break.
How's every single one of you, family? Hope you're doing amazing, and it's time to talk about NXT. You know, the show that we do on Wednesday nights, and in a lot of aspects, I think they did a pretty decent show at most. You know, it wasn't, oh my god, amazing, didn't blow us away, but actually the card that's going to be for next week, they really load that up, so it's going to be a good week for NXT. I think because they're going to have a special announcement next week.
Yeah, you know, like you said, this is the show we do on Wednesdays, and that special announcement might be, we're not going to be doing it on Wednesdays for much longer. So we'll have to wait and see. You know, there's rumors the show might get moved to Tuesday and all that stuff. Who knows? And I'm going to go into it when we get into the women's tag team match, where I think maybe they would do something like that, but I think it's stupid anyway, but we'll see. And if they do move, like we had said, I believe last week, then that's pretty much admitting they lost the Wednesday Night Wars. But hey, somebody always has to lose in war, right? But no, I think that this was better than last week's. Last week's show was pretty awful. It was like, oh my god. But this week was at least a little better. And like you said, it got us excited for the two legit matches we're going to see next week.
Absolutely right. So thank you so very much, family, for being with every single one of us. You know, thank you for the comments, for the subscriptions that we see. Thank you for the love that we are feeling it. So, you know, our commitment to always deliver the best option, the first information, the best everything that you guys can find right here with Jean-Paul Zone. You know, the era of the Almighty has already started. So Monday Night Raw review with Jean-Paul. He talks about everything that Bobby Lashley, the whole tease, 3 hours teasing us, like you said, like, ooh, getting our blue balls right there. We want to see the championship match. Are we going to get it? Are we going to get it? Yep, finally, Bobby Lashley has become WWE champion. Outside of that, the show was absolutely god-awful. You know, nothing really good is going on. But the road for WrestleMania paints to be pretty decent when it comes to the main titles and their matches.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, Bobby Lashley and whoever he goes against, you know, he said he wants Lesnar and Drew in a triple threat. Is it just going to be Drew? You know, who knows who it's going to be, but hopefully it's Lashley going into Mania as champion. And like you said, then on SmackDown, Roman and Edge. Legit stuff. But the main thing to come out of Raw, anybody challenging for a, you know, World Heavyweight Championship, have MVP with crutches in your corner.
Yes.
And you're guaranteed to win. If MVP is with crutches, you know, you'll win the Impact belt, you win the WWE belt, you'll win them all.
Yeah, you know, you need MVP. So, like, the next time you're going to see his MVP right here, and then you see, like, you know, 10,000 subscriptions are going to be to the moon. Thanks to Montel Vantavius Porter. So, Paul, let's start with the show of NXT. Started out semi-hot. You know, I think that, like, a pretty decent match between, you know, the tag team champions, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch against Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. This, like I said, like, pretty good showing for the champions, at least, because they won. But like, you see some dissension already between Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher, and you see, like, I think everybody knew that, like, this tag team was just going to be short-lived.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I kind of see it is, like, it was a great match. You know, all four of these guys are good. Obviously, I would say the baby faces, Thatcher and Ciampa, were the stars of this thing, a lot better. You know, they're more marketable, you know, whether as a singles or this makeshift tag team. But, you know, it was a good match. It was going good. You know, Thatcher was kind of selling for a little bit. Ciampa came in, looked good. And, you know, I thought, okay, the baby faces are going to win here. And maybe it's just going to be, hey, we don't know what to do with the tag champs. We'll have them lose non-title. And then they'll get a title match, you know, maybe in a week or so. But instead, Imperium came out and, you know, cost the baby faces to win. And like you said, this was a good match. I even thought the heels looked good. And like I said, I thought they were going to lose, and I'm like, oh, they only brought out Imperium, so at least the heel champion could win, even though they're the weaker team. And I don't know, I didn't like it in that sense, because then they later on in the show, they're like, oh, yeah, you know, all Thatcher's history with Imperium and all this stuff. And I'm like, what history? I can't even remember.
Oh, well,
because it was probably that.
The titles are with Matt Riddle. I think that's why.
When
Matt Riddle and Timothy, they were the champion.
And see, that was a bullshit thing too, because they're like, oh, both these, you know, all four of these guys, you know, current or past tag champs, they know what it means to be champion. I'm like, I love Timothy Thatcher, but I don't know if I would say that he knows what it means to be champion in the world of NXT kayfabe, because Pete Dunne literally was like, hey, I can't come across the pond, so you can be his tag partner now. And he got put into that role. He didn't win the belt with Riddle.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, like, the match, you know, was pretty good. I think that, like, the addition of Imperium kind of, like, it signifies that, like, that's going to be a feud. You know, they're watching. I don't know, like, when you see the three of them, I don't know how you feel about it. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but like you need a leader. You need Walter.
Oh yeah, and the only thing I with that too is again that's why this I agree with you. That's why this is bullshit. And it's what would if you were the in control of all of NXT, would you have Walter come to this brand? Would you have him drop the title to Rampage Brown or somebody and come here, or would you have these guys all be in NXT UK? I would put all these guys in NXT UK. I don't know why they're playing, trying to play both here. I don't like it.
I know, yeah, and like you said, like this is like the one thing is like they seem okay, but like they don't seem as dominant as with the addition of Walter because it's just the leader. You need him because these three guys are absolutely great, but with Walter they become just amazing. It's not like you become from like being like decent or good, but then with Walter's quality. Like you become like that, the great team, like
we'll make a football reference here. It was like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then they add Tom Brady and they win a Super Bowl.
Yes,
that's Walter. You add Walter, and it makes you that much more.
Is that catalyst that like it's like it makes you even better? But like you said, like they were there, so like they allow like the distraction of that allow Birch and also Lorcan to hit that face first. Like they call it face first. It's just a DDT. See, it sets up like the Magic Killer that like also the Good Brothers do, but then it turns out to be a DDT and they actually pin Thatcher. So like you said, there's dissension between Ciampa and Timothy, and like you said, they had like a little bit of a thing with Mackenzie, and they're like, oh, the past, and it's like, oh, this is what it is.
Which I think they're playing it off maybe a little bit like the dissension thing, but I think it's Ciampa's almost like, these guys are in your past and whatever, and maybe that's going to set up a match, and then maybe they'll beat Imperium. You know what I mean? We'll beat Imperium. Well, what the hell? They're legit, and it's like, well, we just said they're not legit unless they have Walter. So, I don't know. I really don't know where this whole division's going. To me, it just seems like a mess. Why would you break these two up? Because you have nothing to do for them in the singles role. So keep them as a tag team, and your division's lacking tag team.
Like you said, like they're not challenging for any titles.
And MSK, who is that? Is that which one is hurt?
Oh, like which one do you mean? Like
MSK. Wentz. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say he's out. So you already are down to one of your newest, hottest tag teams. So keep this team of Thatcher and Ciampa together.
Yeah. You need to keep more tag team, especially the Grills Young veterans are also heel. So all of them, like the three tag teams that you have are healed, so you cannot go against them. So let's move on to like talk about Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong comes out. He doesn't have the Undisputed Era like like in the arm anymore. Like he has like a new theme song also, and kind of like a little like a little happy not happy, but you see like the shirt like different, and he's like, I want to talk to Adam Cole. Come out. I need to like hear from you. I don't know what's going on. So like they still demand answers, but like instead of Cole answering the Roderick Strong is Finn Balor, and Finn Balor right away just like Ronnie, like no, don't worry about it. Hey, he's like what I'm gonna have to say is just like it's gonna be a NXT championship match. It's gonna be Finn Balor me against Adam Cole. It's gonna be next week. So like right away he gives the match, and I don't know what you thought about this, but like I think that like we've seen this before. Yet it's gonna be a great match. But what can they do different that we haven't seen? Remember that when Balor won the title, it was against Adam Cole too.
Yeah, that was when they kind of had like those Iron Man matches and all that stuff. I mean, it was fantastic, and that's still fresh enough in our minds. But NXT, maybe they goes, oh, the fans really ate that up. They loved it. How Vince books, oh, let's give it to them again. Let's keep feeding them the same thing until they're sick of it. Maybe it's that. Maybe this is going to lead into something further because, like we said, Karrion Kross, WrestleMania is coming up. There's big rumors, and I keep hearing them every so often. They keep getting brought up. Oh, WWE, they want Karrion Kross and Balor at Mania. That could be a night one Mania match, maybe the second last match on the card. Kind of give it a big feel for the first night of WrestleMania. Yes. So, start building it now. WWE's on their way to the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania Fastlane, so you're getting close. Only a couple weeks. Start building it after this match. I'm fine with them giving it away right now. And I do like how Roderick Strong came out, the promo he cut and everything, because I knew that this was going to be the main event, Roderick Strong versus Finn Balor. I knew they were going to set that up. And, I was fine for seeing that match. And also Roderick Strong not wearing Undisputed Era gear, all that, his own music, means officially they are done, at least for now. And I like Roderick Strong in a singles run. I thought he was good as, when he was like North American champ, so he can prove he can be a singles champ, and all like his feud with Bobby Roode and all that stuff before he joined the Undisputed Era I thought was good too. So I wouldn't mind seeing more of that.
We've said before, like it was already stale. It was like it was way too long. It was good that it lasted that long, but it's time to make it fresh again. because at some point they can all get back together.
Oh, damn, yeah, it's wrestling. It's
yes,
wrestling.
exactly.
You can
They
always
will go
just
back together. I love the line that he goes, Roderick, you'll never be a leader because you always are a follower. You need to be more greedy. You need to have that killer instinct that I have. So before he can finish this, then Roddy starts attacking him. So like you said, in of course NXT or WWE fashion, we're gonna get a match, and this is gonna be the main event for tonight. So good, like I said, this was a good promo. Yeah, like you said, we've seen this Balor and Adam Cole. We'll see what they can do different. And like you said, I don't expect a title switch. Hopefully that's not the case. So now let's talk about a segment that a lot of people love. Others like we do. We're not really big fans because like the champion should look really strong, and he's not really strong. It's just Johnny Gargano and the therapy session. So this, I want your thoughts on this, but it was a little too long. But like at least in this, Gargano looked a little more upsetting, more obnoxious. So I think it was okay. But like Indy Hartwell, a little bit going too racy. I don't know how you felt about this.
Should we talk about like just all the segments?
Yeah.
Do them all right here. Yeah, I mean, this was just Gargano, like you said, just overly obnoxious. Overly, it's like can the champion just show some legitimacy? Like you think, like I've said it before. Keith Lee, Roderick Strong. Some of these guys who have held the North American title, Adam Cole, Ricochet. And then it's like, Gargano, how he is now. It's like, especially like Leon Ruff, him, and you're like, oh my God, it's just going down. It's not very good. I mean, Damian Priest too. Don't want to forget him. We love Priest here on Rope Break, but these segments, this was okay. And you see like the Stockholm syndrome from Austin Theory, how he's like, oh, I don't know, like Dexter Lumis was a great guy and all this stuff. And he said Indy Hartwell, she clearly like wrote on the thing Indy, wrestling, or Indy Hartwell wrestling Loomis. So clearly she's already, she already booked the marriage and probably have like 30 kids and everything. So that's legit for Loomis.
But remember what she said is like, oh, I would love to have a one night stand with like Dexter Loomis. So you clearly see that like she's
And then, but at the end of this, she sends Gargano out, the therapist. She's like, you're being bullshit. Get out of here. And then he's like texting Candace when he's outside. And she's like, oh, she's like, what? And then, Candace is kind of playing it up too. And then the therapist is pretty much just like, oh, yeah, Dexter Loomis called me. He said, you're annoying. And he's like, oh, well, he doesn't talk at all. And she's like, well, he talked to me. So, he said all this shit, like, you're bullshit. Your eating habits are gross. You're annoying. You're dumb. You have awful fashion sense. Yeah, so she was just roasting him. So he runs out crying. Then Gargano comes back and he's like, oh, awesome job. So clearly it was a work, just like everything else in wrestling. So, he's like, oh, here's the money. Then he takes 100 away and he's like, oh, this is our arcade money. Again, just being like, is that another video game thing? Everybody got to take a shot at The Undertaker. I'm glad he sacrificed his body to make wrestling legit so you all guys can all take shots at him. But, anyway, I mean, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't the worst segment of the way. The only thing why I give it an okay grade is because you see Gargano, in theory, there's eventually going to be a split and the way's going to break up. So that's what I'm just waiting for.
Yeah, like they need to just show like more legitimacy, but at least, like I said, it wasn't like awful or like I don't want to watch this. At least you saw a little bit of pieces, like you said, like or Theory being just annoying, or like like I own the cereal. Like I was like, really? They treating him like a kid. Like he needs to show more edge. And it's not Adam Copeland. But like you said, like, I like when like the psychologist goes, oh, "What a bunch of idiots."
Yeah,
that was the end. So that was good. Talking about money, let's go to Kevin Grimes. This guy. We said, what did we say last week? We said this guy needs to have a match. So he's like just giving money. He's trying to change the way that like NXT is producing or they're filming the show. And then William Regal shows up. He's like, hey, I have a contract for you, and also like I have a lot of somebody suing you because you beat one of the production guys. It's like, don't worry, I have money. He's like, no, I'll take care of it. By tonight, you have a match against Bronson Reed. So finally, we see the champion. Like I'm not a champion, but we see Cameron Grimes having a match. That was good because these promos are okay, but like if you don't have matches, then it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, yeah, we definitely needed him to get in the ring. And, I like the way that they did that match. But, Cameron Grimes is just, I like him as a heel. I know, like you said, some people probably hate him and stuff. He might be annoying. But I think he's good. I think he's funny. And I really hope that at some point he gets a run, with the North American Championship. Because I don't think they'll ever put the NXT title on him. I don't see that happening unless unless he wins it on like a Sunday and then loses it on a Tuesday, because by the time he would win it, the show will be on Tuesday.
Yeah, it will be on Tuesday. Yeah,
so I mean,
for example, it's going to be the April 13th.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but he's good, and I like that how he wants to change the Capitol Wrestling Center. He's like, it'll be the Cameron Grimes Auditorium or whatever he called it.
And he's like, is that approved? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, funny, I got it. So, like I said, good stuff. And now we're going to see him in a match in a little bit. But before we got to see this guy, it's not Tony Khan. I know Jean Paul loves that. He's the Robert Stone. And he's like, so the guys from Robert are coming after me. He's like, no, we're good.
I was voted best booker of the year.
Yeah, there you go, right there. So like, here's still like, it sucks because like it has some future, with like his brand and all of that. But like we got to see Amber Moon going against Aaliyah. This was really quick, so no reason to actually expand from this. But like at least Amber Moon got a decent win. But like the main thing is like, what are you gonna do with Amber Moon after this? Because they don't have a tag with Shotzi, so it's like Shotzi and Amber are kind of lost in this title picture, even in the tag. I don't know what they were going to do with them, but at least you had a good win, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think you really should keep these two together as a team because hopefully after, the bullshit storyline is all said and done, the women's tag titles are on NXT. So then hopefully that means you can do something with them. And, these two would be a good team, I think, to go after that. But it's just, in the meantime, you kind of got to just put them on the back burner because you really don't have anything for them. But like you said, Eclipse and done. And I love how they're like, oh, yeah, now we're in Canada and, all these other places. And Aaliyah's family can see her lose to Ember Moon in a very quick match. So it's like, but I mean, good for Aaliyah, I guess. She's in, at least, in there with somebody legit. But and the Robert Stone brand isn't presented good, though.
There's future in Aaliyah, maybe not this year, or maybe by the end, towards the end of the year, like you said, there's going to be a lot of call-ups. That's the one thing that you mentioned a few weeks ago. WrestleMania, like a lot of girls are going to move up. So there's going to be room for these girls to actually be the main eventers. So I feel that like maybe Aaliyah has one of them, maybe Kaden Carter, or maybe Amber Moon can get their spot back. But for the now, like you said,
I think Ember Moon will just be like, yeah, you go up. I'll stay right here. I'm good.
Yeah, well, yeah, like there's not going to be a thing.
She's not going to chase the 24/7 championship again.
Exactly. So we see a little bit of a picture of this too. They're really crappy on Monday Night Raw. They win in a really crappy way, really bullshit ways. But like at least they're going to be presented legit. We're going to find out in just a little bit. Really good promo by Io Shirai and also like Toni Storm, really hyping their match, and is scared. I'm not scared of Toni Storm. She said, "It's like I respect her as an athlete, I respect her as a wrestler. I just don't like her as a person." But it's like winning or getting this win over her is going to be like the final win. So I pretty much went through everybody in this division, and it's going to be actually my toughest challenge. And Toni Storm replies, meaning like, "Hey, I'm the only one that is beating her." So like, it's going to be a good match. I'm really excited for this. What about you?
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, this match. And then obviously the one Balor announced are the two, headliners for next week. And I don't know why they're giving us such a really big show next week. You thought if they would do that, it would maybe be this week because this week's the go-home show for AEW Revolution. I don't know why, but, I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with these two matchups. I am more excited and intrigued just for this women's one because this is one we really haven't seen a one-on-one between these two with this version of these two, with this version of Io and this heel version of Tony. We saw it. It's not like, Balor and Cole, which it's like, okay, Cole's heel now. That's really the only difference. But, this is really exciting. And I love, at the end of it, when Io goes, and then after next week, they'll still say, and still NXT champion Io Shirai.
Yes, yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Like you said, next week we're gonna see that, and I love what you just said, the newer versions of this too, because the last time we saw him on a one-on-one was like the final of the Mayon Classic, like almost 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, when she was still coming out smiling with the tiger mask and everything. Yep.
Yeah, and Tony was just like Tony. So like, yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. So good promo to hype them up. That at least NXT still does really well.
Yeah.
So let's move on to like finally the tag team championship match. I had high hopes for this. I thought it was going to be a much better match than what we saw. Unfortunately, I think that like it turned out to be really, really sloppy. I want your thoughts on this, but like in a lot of sequences throughout the match, I felt that like it was out of timing. I don't know if the one, like Raquel understood Nia or like Shayna with like Dakota Kai, but like it seemed to me a little bit, out of sync. I didn't like, the way it turned out at all.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's, like you said, I always criticize Nia, and I'm going to do that again here too, because the one thing Rope Break always is consistent. She's not good, so anybody in the ring with her is going to be a little bit, off time. They're not going to know what to do. And I mean, I don't know with Shayna. Shayna was good, but maybe working with Nia, some of that rubbed off on her. I feel like she hasn't been the same legit since like that, when she lost to Becky Lynch. Ever since then, it's been like,
Yeah.
downhill
Yeah.
with just her in the ring. I mean, she still looks legit. She still looks tough, but it just doesn't have the same feel. And in this match, especially seeing like Dakota Kai get like the one up on her a lot and everything, it wasn't like it should have been where Dakota was absolutely the weakest in this match. And then it was like almost Raquel had to she could handle Shayna, but then Nia would come in and use her weight and, against. And then it's like, okay, now Raquel's having to struggle against Nia. It should have been that the heels were dominating this thing. I guess you could say that the champs are the heels in this because both teams are technically heel, I would say. And then so the champs dominating. And then, the NXT team or the baby faces, whatever, they get the win. But we didn't see, like you said, it was just sloppy and weird. Lots of like near falls, broken up. But I almost felt like a lot of them should have been pins, like they got broken up late. Like you said, it was just timing was off. It was
timing wasn't good. Yeah, like you said, for example, I didn't like how Dakota Kai looked really weak though, extremely weak. Like it turned in, like I felt that like the new Dakota Kai is not as weak as like the one we saw when she was babyface. I think Shayna completely dominated her, and I'm like, can you get a little bit more offense? Can you seem like a little bit better? For example, when she tried to do the Kai kick, she tried to lift her up. The first one didn't go as well. The second one even looked a little sloppy. Then Shayna kind of fixed it by countering and going for the Kirafura clutch. But I don't know. It just felt for me a weird, really, and throughout a lot of moments of the match. And like you said, Nia just not really in sync with both of them. That like this big stare down was okay. The big comeback that Raquel was doing was decent. But like this, like I said, towards the end, right there, the ref gets taken out. Really big boot from also Raquel, and like then Dakota Kai was not a legal woman. It was actually Raquel, but like they actually made it seem like Dakota was the one. And then you see like Adam Pearce comes out, and you see like he brings one of the referees from like Raw, and this was like weird. Like you said, we'll see. We'll have more details like next week. But then you said then pretty much Shayna gets the win. Then they did a Kirafura clutch, and then she ends up tapping.
Oh yeah, actually no, she didn't even tap. She was just knocked out, and then they get the win. And I don't like this because we see Adam Pearce on SmackDown, and he's, I would say, clearly a babyface. We see him on Raw, and I said, he's with Shane, and if they're trying to have Shane be heel, maybe Adam Pearce is kind of heel. But see, I wouldn't mind if he was like heel on Raw and face on SmackDown. But then it's like, okay, but now he's like, this was a heel move. I know it's like, oh, we want to keep the titles on our brand, but if you're a baby face, if you're a good guy in the world of wrestling, you would just, hey, let the best team win. You wouldn't cheat and be like, oh, yeah, like, let's be bullshit. And then that's later on why we saw William Regal and Adam Pearce. They were talking, and, obviously we couldn't see anything. It was just a camera filming through a window in the office. And, this is maybe something because if NXT moves to Tuesdays, we have Raw Monday, NXT Tuesdays. The shows are back to back, so are one after the other. So then maybe they can play off, NXT, be on Raw people on NXT with these titles or something. Who knows what they're gonna do? Or maybe they're just talking for the rematch. But he said, because of what happened tonight with this match, there'll be a huge, implications for NXT. And I'm like, so you're going to move NXT to Tuesday nights because of this match? Because they're going to have to give a reason. They can't say, so we don't want to keep being compared to AEW on Wednesday nights. No, they're not going to break kayfabe and say that. So it's like, what reason are they going to give? And if this is the reason, then that's stupid. Just no selling. Just be like, we're moving to Tuesdays. Just don't even give a reason.
Oh no, yeah, like you said, it's not going to be just that. Like, and for fans who want to know the whole scoop of it, is they're going to move it to Tuesdays because on USA you're going to have the hockey season, the NHL. So you're going to have that, and there's no room for wrestling because, of course, in the hockey games, this, sports people know this, they're going to give better ratings than NXT. NXT is not even is doing what 500, 6,000 tops. So like they need to counterattack that, and it's not even competing with AEW anymore. But they just want to give that because NBC Sports is going to be shut down. So that's why they're moving it. But the one thing is that we don't know yet is it's going to stay on USA or it's going to move to Peacock. So a lot of people are saying that maybe they're not going to renew the contract just because of the bad numbers. And now you see Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, they are cheated But like you said, maybe that brings an opportunity for them to go to Monday Night Raw and challenge one more time. Maybe Fastlane. So that could be a new opportunity for like.
If they book this on Fastlane, I mean, I wish we wouldn't have saw the match at Elimination Chamber because that was just an awful match. I wish it would have been nothing and then save this for Fastlane. Then I'd be fine with it. But I'm like, I don't know if I really want to see two women's tag team or tag team championship matches on back to back pay per views unless you're actually going to put the babyface team over here, the Dusty Rhodes Classic winners, and give them the titles. Otherwise, I don't want to see it.
Hopefully, you're right. Like, we'll see what happens. But like you said, the screwy finish, all of that, we got to see information from Regal next week. That's adding a lot of intrigue because, like I said, the match, though, quality, it wasn't good at all. Let's talk about Isaiah Swerve Scott. Like, that was a swerve that like we weren't hoping, but it actually happened. And then we actually see this guy is getting a character. Finally, he's like a producer, a music producer. He has like some rhythms going on. He has some jams. And then he talks to the camera, and he actually talks about Leon Ruff, saying how, like, he got like handed all these opportunities. He becomes North American champion. What about me? What am I overlooked all the time? When is going to be my chance? And then he says, finally, I don't care anymore. So he's going to go after anybody. So finally, we see some edge. We see some like backbone in Isaiah Swerve Scott. So I like that.
Yeah, and like, he's going to do things his own way. He's not going to, dance to his own beat, you could say. No pun intended here with him making music. But, Jean Paul always loves a good pun. But, this I've been a fan of Isaiah Swerve Scott for the longest time. I said this guy is good. He just needs to talk. He just needs, some kind of feud to kick him off. Boom. They're like, here you go. Legit feud with Santos Escobar. And then after that, what happened? He kind of fell off the face of the earth, didn't do anything, comes back, loses to Leon Ruff, and it's like this guy's completely lost. But I'm glad they're still taking care of him. They give him this new gimmick. Hopefully this, means that they still have plans for him. And I think you got to get Gargano and Ruff out of the North American title picture because then look at all the other guys you have there.
Yeah.
You have Dexter Lumis, Kushida, Cameron Grimes. I would say put LA Knight in there. Let him be that champion. Then go to NXT, for that championship. But let him win the mid-card one first. Yeah. You have a good mix of Bronson Reed, a great mix of guys. You just need to get the title off these clowns and put it on legit guys.
We'll put it in somebody better, and maybe Swerve Scott could be also like another stepping stone right there, a guy that could be feuding for that championship. He wants it. If they put it on Leon Ruff, why can't just do it on Isaiah?
That's what I mean. Put it on Isaiah Swerve Scott. That to me would be great.
And he will be a more believable champion. But like, we talked to you mentioned LA Knight. We're going to talk about LA Knight. He says that he's arrived to NXT because it's a new revolution, no pun intended, with AEW, and he is willing to end these wrestlers like Gargano, O'Reilly, Adam Cole, and Finn Balor. He just wants to end those guys. And you see a lot of passion coming from him. He's like, as Tom Brady's half of a man of who I am. They pay me to just come inside of this square circle and kick ass. I love it. He's a believable guy. Eli Drake, he's just a great guy, great wrestler, former Impact champion. And we saw him on NWA. So like, I see a lot of future good stuff coming in, especially when Karrion Kross moves to the main roster. Because this will be the best heel right here. This will be the main heel that they're going to have.
Yeah, I love LA Knight, and just all the catchphrases, let me talk to you. That is how he always thought. He's like, I came here, the first thing I got to say, let me talk to you. He's like, you fans wanted to hear it. And he's good. He said he's the last of a dying breed. And, with some of the promos these guys cut nowadays, I almost believe it. So this is great, and I'm excited to see the first feud they do with him. And maybe we got a tease of that in the Cameron Grimes match.
Yeah, because like after that, he wasn't even out of the ring. He didn't go back to Gorilla or anything. Then we got to see Bronson Reed coming out, and he had the match with Cameron Grimes. Bronson pretty much dominated Cameron the whole time.
Yeah, the
whole time it was a pretty like one-sided match. But in the end, because of the help of LA Knight, right? See, he moved the ropes because he was going to go for like the splash. Bronson, Eli moves that, and then that allows him Cameron to get the cave in, and he gets the win. He's happy, he has money, and he has a win over Bronson Reed. But like you said, they're a big tease. What is going to be LA Knight against Bronson Reed, and you see of course LA Knight is going to go over. I just see him because Karrion Kross is more like Mystique, more like a promo, more like super powerful, and Scarlett. This is going to be to me a more enjoyable heel just because of the way he talks. In the way that he has his promos, because Karrion, like I said, is interesting, but it's more on the dark side. But I just love that.
And yeah, because LA Knight, it harkens back to that old school kind of vibe, like the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, Bobby Roode when he was in NXT, like, oh, I wear the suits, I'm better than you. To quote
Yeah,
MJF, I'm better than you and I know it. And who did he get it from? He got it. All these guys are learning from the same legends, and they're emulating that today. That's why, again, he said, I'm the last of a dying breed. I treat this all legit. And I'm going to be like, oh, because what did he say? I'm not going to be, oh, I'm happy to be here. No. The fans should be happy that you're here. You should be happy to be there.
Yes, exactly. So like you see like a really old school heel in LA Knight.
Mhm.
That's what we're excited about. Something that it was just like to consume time. It's just like, hey, we still have 10 more minutes on the show. Well, we have to do overrun. Of course, but because we keep losing, it's fine. We're going to see Breezango against Everrise, a match that nobody wanted to see. That bad that nobody wanted to see, that it didn't even happen. Because the Legado del Fantasma came out, like Duarte and also the other guy. They came out and they start beating them up. They start beating them up, Breezango, and then Everrise is like, yeah, thanks guys, it's legit. But then also they get their asses kicked out by Santos Escobar, and Santos Escobar just says, cualquiera, meaning anybody. It says that like anybody that messes with the Legado del Fantasma will end up like Everrise and Breezango. So he says, forget about next week. That was one I had to lose. It's fine. It wasn't for the title. I'm good. But whoever messes up with us is going to end up like this, guys. So, like, still, like, you see that, like, they're still presenting Santos Escobar as, like, a legit heel. And I like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and it's Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza.
Mendoza, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Right, is it Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza? There you go. So, like, do you like this, though, at least,
Santos is so good. And like we said, it was kind of, I guess you had to book the match with Karrion just to do something with Karrion, but it was like a big bump in the road, for Santos, because he did have that momentum, and then he loses, and it's like, oh well, he kind of, you don't want to say he looks like shit, but he did lose, and he did get beat up pretty good. So, and he did have to have 3 of his boys out there, or 2 of his boys out there, to even stand a chance. So
yeah. So like you kind of like you needed to do something like this to at least have a statement. Hey, I'm still alive. I'm still good. I'm still going.
But instead of interrupting the match and like every segment's either a beatdown or interrupt or screwy finish, just have them come out and cut a promo.
Yeah. But I think that like they needed a beatdown. Is like, okay, so I'm still good. I still need.
Oh yeah, that was all just like you said, to flex their muscles, to be like, yeah, we're still dominant. We still beat the shit out of Breezango, and they didn't get up and try to jump us. They just laid there in their astronaut outfits.
And they're right, they couldn't rise to the occasion. Yeah. So next week we're gonna see Pretty Loaded Carpool. Kaden Carter cut a promo, also like saying that also Casey Catanzaro had like the torn ACL. She's going to be out for a long time, so she's going to go try to get back at Xia Li. We see Mei Yin right there. We see Boa. So this is going to be probably one of like the first matches that we're going to see right there. And Xia Li, of course, is going to get the win, just because Xia Li needs to be portrayed, needs to be presented so strong, so serious, like you said, to maybe either feud with like Storm or Io Shirai. So that will be pretty good. So like we're going to see Kaden. Kaden also, like, a lot of people love him. We love her here too, because she's an amazing athlete. So we see like big things coming for her towards the end of this year. That's going to be really cool. So let's go to the main event. Like we said, new music, new jacket also for Roderick Strong. And this match was pretty good. This both guys like same kind of height, same physique. They really went at it, and I love how like the counters that they had between each other. Balor looking strong, but like Roddy didn't look out of tune. And I like that, being in attack, sometimes he can lose like some things that you do as a singles guy, but like he had a lot of opportunities to win. He worked with like the singles crab, like he did like the Walls of Jericho, or like not the, call it like the lion tamer.
Oh, they call it the what do they call it? The strong, or the something like the strong will, or strong something they call it. I forget, but yeah.
We won't call it like, like with the lion tamer, just because we don't want to mention AEW just because of that. But like, I'm pretty sure you love this match, because they both look great, and it was a pretty solid main event.
Oh yeah, I love, and just Roderick Strong. He's the real Messiah, not like Seth Rollins, the Messiah, the backbreaker. And that was his thing, working over Balor's back. And like you said, he does, the backbreakers, and then he did the, the walls or the lion tamer or whatever, and really got in that back. And then he folded up Balor almost like a pocket knife, folded him in half, and Balor kicked out somehow. And they're like, oh, Balor's back, it must be done. And the Samoan drops, everything he does, just focusing on the back. And I loved at the ending there, after Balor kicked out of that and he picked them up. And I don't know if he was going for another backbreaker or what he was going for, but Balor then double stomped on his leg. And then that set up, the sling blade, the shotgun drop kick, coup de grace, 1916, excuse me. and done. And I mean, legit match. And I was just waiting. I think Balor was waiting too, because he, after the match, we said it had the overrun. It was great. Maybe cut out a promo or a bullshit match and have this end at 10 o'clock. But, Balor's standing there. He's waiting. He's looking around. He's like, okay, who's going to jump me? Who's going to beat me up? He's like looking like, where are they? But thankfully, they did the right thing. We just see Adam Cole standing on the stage, staring him down like, next week, that belt's going to be mine. And that's how it should be. You don't need to get physical. These guys don't need to beat each other down. Just do that. Give us that stare down.
Yeah, we've seen it. So I like this. Like, yeah, right there, boom. Like there was the one guy going with the undisputed thing, and then Balor going with like, like the guns about to be shot and all of that. So good. Like, look at the chops that like right there. Like look at Balor's chest, pretty red. But like it hypes you up for what we're gonna get next week. Like you said, a pretty loaded card for NXT. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna go like John Paul's like way of booking things. They're gonna make the announcement next week. NXT is gonna move up to Tuesdays. The end of the Wednesday Night Wars. Seems WWE is on the losing side, like you said. I just feel, hey, mostly it's just because of the NBC Sports like being close, and then WWE has to have a new outlet for these guys. We'll see what happens if they stay on the USA Network or if they move to like Peacock. Like next week, we get 2 championship matches. This one is going to be really, really great. And also, Jean Paul, they're saying that there's going to be a takeover on April 8th. So there's a lot of rumors. It's either they're going to have Karrion Kross and Finn Balor over there, on WrestleMania, or also they might have it like a few days before WrestleMania, and it will be a takeover on April 8th. That is a Wednesday. Also, it might be the last Wednesday where they have NXT, on that day.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they'll do hot potato. Maybe Balor will lose it at the first show, and then he'll be Demon Finn Balor and beat Karrion and get it back at WrestleMania, and then they'll just put Karrion on the main roster. I mean, who knows what they're going to do? But, I mean, it's exciting for NXT. Hopefully all this moving around, reshuffling the board, this needs to be like a soft, a fresh, just like restart. Just like, all right, guys, let's kind of clean the table off a little bit. Okay, this feud's good, everything else we get rid of, and let's start over.
Give us like new matchup, like kind of like a shake-up from within.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do. So that's the show that we have for you, family. Thank you so very much for being with us. Don't forget to subscribe for the new ones that are seeing us. Hit that bell for notification. Give the video a like. That pushes the video, all the way. Like where's Jean Paul? Like
to the moon.
That's right. That's where we're gonna go. So thank you so very much. Tomorrow, Jean Paul is gonna be talking about AEW Crossroads. A lot of stuff happening. That's the Go Home Show for Revolution, and of course, you and me will be talking about NXT UK. Family, be there for us. Where else can they find us in the social media world?
Yep, and so you don't miss anything Rope Break does, make sure you follow us on Facebook on a Rope Break, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, right here on YouTube. Click subscribe to the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break. Don't forget to find us on the Wrestling with Jonas Network. We're right there every single one of our episodes. Big shout out to these guys that are supporting us from the UK. They're giving us the hand. They love what we do. Thank you so very much. So you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is